Hey everybody, welcome to A Grade, the podcast where a college professor and a grade school teacher taste, review, and grade America's coffee roasters, breweries, and more. We have new episodes every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. I, of course, am Joe, and I'm also, of course, as always, joined by...
Hi everybody, I'm Jackie.
And I guess we'll dive right in because we maybe have a lot to say about this place. I don't know, we didn't really talk about this before we started recording. We kind of just went, experienced it, tried to have a good time, enjoy ourselves, right?
Yes, and this was a little bit of a different experience because we did meet at this coffee roaster with friends. Mm-hmm. So there were 4 of us instead of just the 2 of us there. So it was a little bit of a different feel for us, but I think we still got some good takeaways.
Yeah, we were still focused. And of course, this week, as per the episode description, we were at Dave's Coffee in Providence, Rhode Island, right?
Yes, in the College Hill area of Providence.
Yeah, really cool city and really cool area, honestly. It has a very college town vibe feel, but it's very comfortable, feels very safe, really good vibe overall. So I think getting into our grading categories, which of course you want to go through those,
sure.
That's a part of it, right?
Yeah, so our first category is atmosphere and ambiance. Then we'll go into service, we'll go into coffee, and then we'll go into food to finish us off.
Yeah, and then of course we'll kind of average those all out and come up with a overall assessment of how we enjoyed this week's location, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and as I was saying, I think for starters, really cool city, and we had a little trouble finding a place that was open because, of course, we tend to fall into the trap of looking for places on Mondays, and a lot of places tend to seem to be closed on Mondays. So we were very happy that they were open. That was definitely a great bonus because a lot of other places that we had on our radar or our list were closed for Monday. But yeah, why don't you start us with atmosphere and ambiance, because I'm very curious what you think given that part of it and maybe some other factors that I'm sure you'll bring up.
Absolutely. So again, like you said, the town that we were in was amazing. It's a nice walkable street. You're right near Brown University. So we actually did take our cups of coffee and walked around a little bit. We sat for a while and then we walked around the campus and through all of the old historic buildings with the cup of coffee. So when you come up to the coffee shop, it's in another one of these nice, beautiful brick historic buildings. So the street itself is really just a nice street to be on. For a city street, there's not a lot of cars. It's pretty quiet. But when we walk up to the coffee shop, you can tell where the coffee shop is because it's really crowded. And there's a lot of people kind of just, waiting for their coffee and waiting online to order coffee. And the first thing and the main thing to notice is there's actually not that much atmosphere and ambiance to even talk about because it's only pick up and take out only. The inside of the coffee shop is closed. And I think this is a COVID adjustment.
Yeah, it kind of is and it isn't a dining experience in some ways, because part of the reason why I thought that we chose that place was also because it's very confusing these days in terms of what's open in what capacity.
Right.
And this seemed like it didn't have dine-in, but it said from where I read that there was outdoor dining or outdoor seating, but that was really just a few kind of bar seat stools along the wall and essentially two-person tables, which we got really lucky and snagged those tables. But it really, and I mean, obviously they maybe didn't go into that location planning to do outdoor seating, but it is kind of constricted by the fact of where it is and what the situation is. Because exactly like you say, the atmosphere and ambiance is kind of more so the neighborhood around it, because right. There's even the wall that you talk to order your stuff. Like I was kind of trying to peek in to get a better look of what the vibe was like inside, but I really couldn't tell, to be honest.
And I'm actually curious what their rationale is for not being open indoor at this point, because of a lot of people wear masks. A lot of places are open indoors now and are adjusting to this new world we live in with COVID. And it didn't seem like it was hurting their business at all, because when we sat there was consistently a lot of people ordering coffee. So I don't think it was hurting their business. They were pretty crowded consistently the entire time we were there. But the outdoor seating was directly in the sun with no shade. And this was a really, really hot day. The last coffee roaster we went to, I was freezing cold. This one, I was piping hot.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. We were sitting at the table for about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And we kind of just decided to bail after a while because it was a particularly hot day. And I don't know, maybe that's part of the point. Because it's so limited, they don't, you don't want to make people too comfortable. And again, a coffee place like that, I guess, how long can you really spend there? But that is something in our experience that we like doing. So it's hard to really gauge the atmosphere and ambiance for all these reasons, because the line between what is, again, kind of a barrier in terms of just the present situations and what seems reasonable or amenable is a really blurry line these days. So, and again, when I can't see inside, I don't know what I'm missing either, which I guess that's kind of the point. They don't want people even looking inside. I don't know. So I'm kind of lost, honestly, in terms of atmosphere and ambiance, because I'm like, what am I grading at this point in this situation? It's like, I feel weird saying, oh, well, they should just open up for me, because if that's their prerogative, they don't want to open up, then that's what they're going to do. But at the same time, if I'm just talking about this place and explaining it and describing it to people who are looking for a coffee roaster experience, and there are other places that are open, I do have to take into account, well, if you're looking for a cool sit-down coffee roaster, this is not necessarily the place for that, right?
No, that's a really good point. This is definitely a place that you go, you get your cup of coffee to go, and you bring it to your next destination. Luckily, the neighborhood is beautiful, so we were able to walk around with our coffee, and I actually had a really great experience drinking my coffee because we walked around, we chatted, we got to see the college campus, we walked the beautiful streets and looked at the beautiful buildings.
Yeah, it's a really nice area.
So overall, like, my impression of the coffee is really positive because of the neighborhood that it's in.
Yeah.
And again, it's really hard to grade atmosphere and ambience here because I don't want to penalize them for choosing to not have indoor seating. But also that does impact, there's not much we can say about the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're lucky that they are in a neighborhood like that. That is part of opening a coffee shop, is picking a neighborhood that you kind of want to go to have coffee.
Well, the other part of it too was that we've said this with other coffee roasters, is that, and again, I don't know how much of this is how they're choosing to set up because of situations with COVID, but I would have no idea that was actually a coffee roaster if I didn't look it up beforehand. I would just think it was a coffee shop with whatever. We'll get into what they actually have in terms of coffee and food. But there are telltale signs usually when you normally go to a coffee roaster. You can see the roasting equipment. Sometimes you talk to the people doing the roasting. Again, you have different options for getting coffee, such as pour overs, and you can see different types of equipment that, again, are telltale signs that they're actually doing the roasting there. Like, I have no idea what's actually going on there. So in terms of, again, through the lens of a takeout coffee shop experience, I think it's like fine. It's really cool because it's a really cool area. But if I'm looking at it as a roaster location that I want to go to, because we talk about this, a lot of the roasters that we go to, we want to go to experience the kind of roasting atmosphere. And, how many places do we go in where you walk in and you could smell the beans roasting?
Yeah.
This is just not that. And I don't know if it is otherwise. Maybe they're roasting at different locations. I have no idea. So I'm at a loss in terms of even how to grade this category in this situation, because if I'm going just by the outdoor appearance and seating and vibe, it's like below C, because it's below satisfactory, because again, there's garbage bags just sitting out there because there's one garbage can that fills up and there's only a few seats out mainly in the sun, but it's also not made for that space. So like, if they didn't do anything at all and they just said, oh, it's just takeout, would it be fair to grade them at all? You know what I mean? Because they're doing something, is it fair to give a grade that is kind of penalizing them then?
Do you think, and we did not obviously talk about this before the podcast, but
no collusion here.
Do you think it's fair to grade
I'm thinking out loud.
atmosphere and ambiance? I still think we should, because I think they're making a conscious decision to not be open.
I'm going to give it a grade, but I don't think I'm going to really factor it into my final grade, because again,
that's a good point. I like that. I like that.
I think, again, it's such a unique situation, and it's probably something that changes. I even remember looking up on their website very briefly where they said that they have another location somewhere else and that place was, I think, open for dine-in. So they're obviously like changing and assessing the situation. And I feel as if it's tricky to say, I don't want to apply a bad name or a review to a place that maybe they're in transition. And that's part of the reason why. It's just really hard to know. It's hard to pin down sometimes.
I think because of all of that, I think I know what I would give atmosphere and ambiance, taking all of what we just said into consideration. I think I know.
Well, they're also, I mean, again, they seem pretty strict. I didn't even ask if we could use the bathroom because somebody else did, and they were just like, no.
Yeah.
They said, try the drugstore down the road or something, or the convenience store down the road, which is also, again, that's a big thing. So if I'm going purely from the standpoint of just, okay, if I didn't know anything else and I'm just saying how my experience is objectively, not with any of these other factors in mind of obviously this is maybe a somewhat unique situation, I would say it's like, I don't know, D plus atmosphere and ambiance. There really isn't much. But again, as I mentioned as well, I'm not really going to necessarily weigh that. I don't know how much I feel comfortable weighing that just for me.
Into your consideration, into your overall grade.
Yeah, because I think, again, it's a sort of in a different category. Like, if I'm thinking of it as a roaster and you want a roaster experience, it's not the place to go right now.
No, if you want to go to a coffee shop and get some work done or read a book, this is not the place to go.
Yeah. Which, again, and if this were a place that we went to thinking of it as just a takeout coffee place, then we might say, okay, whatever, it's satisfactory because it's nice that they even have a couple of seats, right? But again, we have that expectation because they say they're a roaster and because the website says outdoor seating. I think, again, it's really confusing with what's on Google sometimes versus what's on their websites, especially when that information is changing. But I remember seeing it pretty explicitly that it said outdoor seating. And when I hear outdoor seating, I also think that there should be even a porta potty or something, which, again, there might just not be the space for. So I feel as if it's kind of a struggle in some ways probably to adapt. And that's why I think it is what it is in that sense. I think it's more important to just kind of, normally I would say, you know what, the grade for that category is what it is. But I think in this case, you have to really view it more as it's not, don't go there again, as we were just saying, for the typical roasting coffee experience where, yeah, you want to get to know the roasters or the baristas and talk about the beans and really enjoy yourself in terms of taking time, being comfortable, sitting down, reading a book, enjoying the coffee. That's not what you're going to get here. You're going to, if you go, you want it to be kind of a nice day and walk around the area, right?
I agree 100%. And so did you think you're going to stick with a D or a D plus?
I mean, I'll say D plus because, again, I don't know what else to say, but I really can't emphasize enough that, like,
I'm like pinning you down to that exact score.
I mean, what would you say? Because, again, I'm trying to weigh everything, and I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, I have an interesting take on this one. I'm going to go with C minus.
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable giving it in the D range because as I'm starting to go to more places, I really appreciate a coffee shop that picks a really good building and location to rent to create their coffee shop. For example, when we went to Shearwater, I felt like it was in a parking lot in a really corporate looking area, and I didn't love that for a coffee shop. I don't want my views to be when I go to get coffee, I'm not sure I want my views to be a parking lot.
Yeah, that was one factor where you're kind of just looking out over the parking lot.
I feel like they're in a location of the city where it's okay that it's just takeout because you can walk up to Brown and sit in the green. You can go down to the Providence River and sit at one of the benches on the pedestrian walkways. There's so many places to sit in this neighborhood that if any neighborhood could have a walk-up coffee shop, this is it.
Okay.
So I still think it's satisfactory slightly below satisfactory for that reason. The bathroom situation was a situation because I was
what are you supposed to
walking around, drinking coffee, looking for a bathroom, kind of. So that is a situation, but I also don't want to penalize the owner. There might be a reason that he feels really strongly with COVID to not open completely. But I don't know. It's still not satisfactory, but I don't think it's a failing grade either.
Oh yeah, so the best way as you were describing it that I thought to describe it, and this might not make sense, but maybe if I say it out loud it will.
I think
is
so.
is that from a teaching perspective and a grading perspective, if somebody hands in a paper and I read that paper in my writing 102 class, my introductory freshman writing composition class, I might give that paper a B because I say like, okay, it does all these things well. If that same student handed in the same paper in one of my upper division junior or senior level college class for the third or fourth year writing, that same paper might get a C or a D. So put that lens onto whether or not we're looking at it as a takeout coffee place versus a coffee roaster, which would
What
be
a great point.
that
Yeah.
higher. I don't know if it's a great point, but it's what makes sense in my crazy head.
It makes sense in my
makes
crazy
sense?
head
Okay.
too. I've either
Yeah.
been hanging out with you for too long, or
Oh, definitely. I don't
my
know.
head is becoming.
Yeah, I don't know what
Yeah.
you're still doing here. It's madness.
I'm becoming equally demented.
Well, it's almost like you're hooked on coffee and beer.
Yes.
Or at least grading coffee and beer. So that's the best way I can sort of think to rationalize it. Again, if we're thinking of it through those lenses, it's like obviously as a takeout coffee place, it's great. But as again, if you're just looking up coffee roasters and you want that vibe or experience, now's maybe not necessarily the right time for it. And that's why I feel more comfortable describing it that way than even giving it a grade. But if I'm giving it just the objective grade through, okay, what my expectations are visiting a coffee roaster, it's obviously not there. But if I'm looking at it as, okay, well, just to take out coffee place, I would give it a much higher grade for that reason.
I think that's really fair. And I think this is helpful, like if you're in the city of Providence, to kind of think about when you're going there. Are you looking for a takeout, walk around place?
Yeah.
Or are you looking for a sit down, read a book place? And this is the takeout, walk around in really cool neighborhood.
Yeah, definitely. And well, okay, should we transition to service?
Let's get into service.
Because I feel kind of similar about the service in some ways.
I don't have much to say.
I was going to say, do you want to start with service?
Yeah, I think this is for me a typical, the service was good. It was fine.
Yeah, again, I don't know how to grade it because it's not set up to do what I want at a coffee roaster. Talk to, again, whether it's sometimes we go to coffee roasters and the roasters are either working there or they come out and they talk to you. Or again, it's a situation where the baristas ask where you're from, what you're doing in town. You have that space and time to sort of have those conversations and talk about the beans. There's obviously no time or space really for that, but at the same time, the barista or cashier, I don't know who was doing what, but they were very amenable. Like they were perfectly fine.
They sure weren't on their phones like some experiences we've had in the past. They were engaged.
Well, I don't know if they were on their phones. I couldn't see. I couldn't see what was going on back there.
That's true.
I have no idea.
That's true.
Again, it's just a different setup. I mean, we've gone to, remember those drive-through coffee places we've been to? That's a different tier of situations.
Grading.
So it's almost, again, it's just not what a coffee roaster would normally be. So that's why it's hard to grade. So, I mean, I guess, and again, when I say this grade, it's not bad, but I would say C, that the service was satisfactory. It was fine. The reason why I would have B or A grades is, again, if I'm able to engage in those other ways, like we said, and that's just what the nature of the situation is. So it's very satisfactory. It was fine, in my opinion.
I agree. It was fine. And I think when we talk a lot about C's, C is almost the easiest in my mind to identify when I'm thinking about a coffee shop or a brewery, because whenever I'm like, it was fine. The beer, the coffee, the service, whatever, that's a C. It was fine.
Well, the other thing that
was fine.
kind of plays into it as well, which I think matters regardless of these restraints or restrictions or whatever, is the fact that, again, she was very amenable and offered me a knife and fork or whatever, but it didn't feel even comfortable really sitting down and eating there.
No.
It was so messy. There were no plates, not even a paper plate or anything like that. It was just what was in the box. And I make a mess enough already. And I felt bad because I didn't feel equipped to be able to eat there. So that was part of the reason why we kind of wanted to bail too, I think, after a while. So that is what it is, but that's really my perspective too. Did you give your grade for service though?
I also give it a C.
Yeah, I think, again, anything you give, that is based on all of these factors, and it's more in this case. I say this more and more with these situations. It's about the the overlapping reasons why we come to those conclusions, rather than in these cases the letter grades themselves. Sometimes I grade something and I say, no, this is a B because it's above average, or it's a D because it's below average. In this case, I think it's much harder to really feel confident in that letter grade, and it's much more useful and resourceful to kind of look at those background reasons.
That's a really good point, and it's got me thinking, if you are someone that is really conscious about, you know, making sure that you're staying socially distant and that you've been kind of quarantining still, this is a great place to go. You're going to get...
That's a really good point.
It's a really safe place to go. The owner of Dave's Coffee, maybe it's Dave, I don't know.
It is. I looked it up.
Dave,
I think,
must be, you know, he's really conscious. This is a safe place. Everybody was wearing masks that was working there.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And so if you are very conscious and you really are practicing social distancing, this is a great place to get a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad you mentioned that, because that's the other side of it, right? I know a lot of people who still, obviously, for various reasons, they don't feel comfortable with how places are treating situations and how their employees are treating them. And I did get that feel that, okay, if you're worried about quality control, this is a really good place to go to. And it actually sets some pretty good standards in those ways, maybe, because I have pretty high confidence that they're doing their due diligence in kind of safety and cleanliness and that
without
sort of stuff.
a doubt. And I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah.
And so I think those are some really good overall thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm
I'm excited to talk about coffee.
Dun, 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 coffee. You want to start?
The most important category.
It comes down to the coffee ultimately.
Okay. I
love the other categories, but you got to have good coffee.
Okay, so I'm actually really excited to talk about the coffee because I loved my latte.
It was pretty good.
My latte.
Yeah.
This place had options for lattes, which I haven't seen in a really long time.
I know, it's crazy how some places you ask for options and they just kind of go, no, there aren't any.
They're like, we don't have any.
We make a latte. Yeah.
They had fun options, and they make all of their syrups there in Dave's Coffee. They make their own simple syrups, so you know you're going to probably get a high quality syrup in your latte that is a little healthier. They had honey. I had a oatmeal cookie latte. They had a lavender one. They had a bunch of options, and then they have their own specialty coffee syrup that I didn't try, but I almost wish I would have. I thought the latte was really well balanced. I could taste the coffee, which doesn't always happen. I was really impressed with my latte, and I was not expecting to be that impressed with the latte. I loved it. I loved it.
So can I ask you a question about your latte?
Yes.
Because I also tried your latte, and I really enjoyed it. And I have a letter grade in mind for what I would give your latte. Obviously, the grade for the coffee category is based on our coffee experience, which includes both of ours. But I have a letter grade for your coffee specifically.
So you want me to grade just my coffee?
I'm just curious, like, how you would letter grade that specific latte on the latte scale.
So
what
now
would you give that latte? Not the coffee overall.
We made a little bit of a mistake because
I didn't make any mistakes.
I made a mistake because I was enjoying our conversation that we were having with our friends, and I forgot to try Joe's Americano.
Well, I can tell you about the Americano.
So I'm only gonna. I don't want to. Before I give my overall grade. Do you want me to give my over? So how should I grade coffee? Because I didn't try the Americano.
You should weigh my coffee experience. My coffee experience doesn't count.
So tell me about your coffee experience before I give my grade.
So I would say, I usually get the pour over coffee, which I saw pictures of online and it just wasn't there, which is always kind of disappointing to me. A lot of places have said that they don't do it anymore because of COVID. I think it's more of it's because it's time intensive.
If any place were to not do a pour over because of COVID, this would be the place.
That's true.
Just a side note.
But having said that, my next default, because again, I actually really like lattes, but I even more so like tasting fresh beans, which a pour over is just basically an open drip coffee. That's the simplest way I can think to say it. And it's supposed to feature obviously the flavor profiles of freshly roasted beans, right? So the next best option in that kind of vein, if they're not willing to do that or not able for whatever reason, is, in my opinion, an Americano, because it's basically water with espresso, so you still get the taste of the beans. And honestly, the Americano was fine. Like, it was a very middle of the road Americano. I've had a lot of Americanos where I taste a lot more flavor, honestly. I mean, I remember that place in Montana.
Yes.
What was that? East Glacier Village we were at?
East Glacier Village has basically two restaurants in the whole place.
Well, they have a deli.
A deli.
And there were rando Italian dudes working at this deli.
Could they make an Americano?
They made one of the best Americanos I think we've ever had.
That freaking Americano was my best Americano of the whole trip.
So my point is, there are really flavorful Americanos out there, and this one, it just tasted like pretty fresh coffee, honestly. There wasn't a whole lot to it. So with the latte, I would grade your latte to be an A- latte.
I would give the latte an A.
I think you're nuts, but
I loved
it was really
my
good.
latte.
It was really good.
But I'm not going to give the overall coffee experience an A.
You can give it whatever you want. It's your grade. I'm going to give the overall coffee experience for me because, and as I always say, it is still a roaster. It's advertised as a roaster as far as I intuited from my my very rudimentary research, but that's the vibe I got. There were those things that I normally look for, and the knockout places that do a fantastic job, they are doing different types of pour overs, different types of bean options, all of these elements. So through the lens of a coffee roaster and the coffee experience, I have to grade it based on the beans that I drink. I'm gonna go, honestly, and they did have some really interesting looking different things, but I'm gonna go B overall for coffee because I thought the latte was pretty fantastic too. And they did have some other really interesting looking options on the menu, but I have to balance it again with what I know from experience other coffee roasters are featuring with the flavor profiles of these super fresh beans. Having said that, I think it's a terrific place to check out. I honestly, unless things change and they start doing more stuff with pour overs, if you're a latte person, I would 10 out of 10 recommend it. But if you are somebody who likes more of a kind of regular black coffee vibe, it's, it will get the job done, but it's nothing that is knocking my socks off like a lot of other places we've been to. But the latte is so on point. Yeah,
with all that being said, it was a really fantastic latte. It's one of the best ones I've had in a really long time, actually. It was really good.
They're definitely really fresh beans too. I mean, that's a point worth noting as well. They're clearly freshly, expertly roasted beans for sure.
Yeah, and I almost want to go back this afternoon and go try their honey latte.
Yeah.
I'm sure even a decaf latte would be really good there. So but my overall experience, with coffee, I wish that we could have seen the bags of beans and the different types of beans that they sell. If you're a roaster, I wanted to kind of know more of that information.
Yeah, I didn't see their bags of beans anywhere, which was weird. Maybe they were, and I just couldn't tell. But that's another telltale sign of a roaster. You usually have some sort of display of the beans. So it seemed like all of that was just streamlined.
Because I'm the latte person and because they didn't have a pour over, which to me, if you're a roaster and you don't have a pour over, that's really tough for me. But because the latte was so good, I'm going to give the overall coffee experience a very satisfied B+.
I think that's fair. And in fact, it's funny you say that because our friends that we met up with there, I think Diana, our friend, gave it a B+, the coffee. And I think Tony maybe even gave it an A-.
He gave it an A-, and he had a latte like me.
Yeah.
And he loved the latte.
Which I said A- for the latte. So I think we're all kind of in the ballpark. So in terms of, again, really quality coffee, and if you want, especially more so, I think lattes, like a really quality latte, take it home or walk around town, this is definitely a place to put on your list.
I can't wait to, I want to try other flavors of lattes there because you can tell that they definitely put thought into them. They're fun, different specials for lattes, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. And that leaves us with the kicker, which is, of course, food, as always. And that was interesting. There were actually a ton of things on that menu that I wanted to try because they just looked so unique. But why don't you? I'm very curious about your food thoughts. I know you're curious about mine, but I want to hear yours first.
So we ordered avocado toast with a fried egg and carrot bacon.
I couldn't even order it because I was so overwhelmed by everything you just said when I was reading it. I just said, Jackie, please take care of it. I can't. For good reasons. I was just overloaded, and those were just a couple of examples. There were tons of other things it seemed like going on that menu that were very unique.
Yeah, before I talk about the other thing we ordered, the carrot bacon was really good.
It was shockingly good, the carrot bacon.
I am quitting bacon and only eating carrot bacon from now on.
Well,
how do you find carrot bacon?
I got to look up what's in it
bacon
because I'm kind of worried that it was so good that maybe it has a bunch of nonsense in it.
It was orange, like a carrot. It looked like
carrot bacon,
like a fried carrot.
No, it looked like carrot bacon. It looked kind of like bacony or carroty bacon. I thought no.
Yeah, we try not to eat bacon. So we eat a lot. We'll have turkey bacon sometimes, but I've never had carrot bacon, and I want more.
It was really good. I've never heard of that even, and I've eaten at I feel as if I've eaten at a lot of off the
or even vegan,
normal,
vegetarian places.
Different.
We've both been vegetarians for periods of time, and I've never experienced carrot bacon before.
I've eaten at straight up vegan restaurants in all sorts of cities. I've never seen carrot bacon. Maybe it's a new thing, but I'm worried again that maybe it's kind of. I know there's certain fake meat burgers that it turns out they're actually kind of less healthy in some ways because they're super oily and fatty.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of worried about that, but I'm very curious to research it more because it was absolutely fantastic.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was such a good touch on the avocado toast.
Even the egg was great.
The egg was great, and so was the avocado. I can't tell you how many places I've gone where I order avocado and it's brown.
Can I? Oh God, that's gross.
It's brown. This was not. This was the perfect
Can I raise
avocado.
a gripe?
Yes. I know what it is.
What?
The bread isn't toasted.
What is that? Why
does this keep happening to us?
Why do places? Because I've gone to places before and gotten avocado toast, and the bread is toasted. And then I feel like the last few places we've been to, it's just not toasted bread.
And they, Tony and Diana said the same thing.
So it's not just us.
They got
they got a
bacon, egg, and cheese
on an
English muffin.
And it wasn't.
And they
toasted.
were really upset that the bread wasn't toasted.
Yeah, that's
and they
gross.
said that they said that it was
real.
delicious, but the bread wasn't toasted.
Yeah, I'm not about that.
Take the extra second, toast the bread.
Maybe they did, and they just rushed it out. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
The avocado
with
toast was still really tasty to me.
It was still really tasty. Again, it was kind of messy without really proper gear at all, like a plate or something.
And the table was one of the tables that it's like a lawn table, so it has strips of wood with holes in the middle.
Yeah,
so things were falling through, and
it was not pretty.
We were trying to cut it, and you don't have anything to like cut it on. It was rough.
Yeah, it was worth it because it was so good. And we also had that. It was a bergamot something scone
that Tony did say tasted like Abercrombie and Fitch because it tasted like the cologne.
I disagreed. Well, it's not that I disagreed. I thought it felt more like the cologne, but I knew kind of exactly what he was saying. It had this like strange freshness to it, almost. But he also said that it tasted like poppy seeds, or it had poppy seed vibes, and then I couldn't get it out of my head. But it was weird. Like the body of it was much different than the frosting. Mm-hmm. It was a very two differently distinct taste. It was still very unique, and it was still pretty good for a scone. But again, it's not like the best scone I've ever had. Honestly, I've had some scones that make me question my life decisions.
I have a hot take on the scone.
You didn't like it?
I love pastries. I will say no to a brownie and a cookie all the time, but you put a scone in front of me, a muffin with glaze, I'm all in. I felt like this had no flavor.
It had flavor. It had Abercrombie and Fitch.
It had cologne flavor.
I thought I kind of liked it because it was so different. I don't even know what bergamot is. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
I don't know. I love the avocado toast. I didn't love the scone.
Yeah, I would have actually liked to have tried some other things on their menu. It's a very eclectic menu. It's really interesting. So I'm going to go. Did we try any other food? I think that was pretty much it, right?
No, we didn't. But we did see, and the cookie, we did see a cookie. We'll post some photos
the sea
to the
salt
Instagram.
Cookie?
There was a sea salt cookie that looked really good. We didn't taste it.
He said it was really good.
Yeah, he said it was good. And there were a lot of things that I'd want to try there. Yeah,
I'm going to go honestly because do I take into account experience at all? No, because that's like atmosphere and ambiance. I don't know.
They bleed into each other. They bleed in a little. Maybe take in 25% of that and 75% taste.
I'm going to go because the menu is so unique. It is so diverse. And it's the only place I've ever gotten carrot bacon, and it was outstanding.
So good.
I'm going to go B plus for food. I'm kind of torn between B and B plus. But again, I'm erring on the side of I don't know what I'm grading at this point for this place. So I'm just going to give them a B plus.
I really enjoyed my avocado toast. It might have been my favorite avocado toast I've actually ever had.
It was really good.
Ever.
Yeah.
And we just had some the other day at a different place, and this was definitely better.
Yeah, it was really good.
Even though the bread wasn't toasted, it was still felt like high quality bread as well.
It tasted like bread.
I liked it.
It tasted like
I have
untoasted.
less of a refined
It
palate.
tasted like it was avocado bread. It wasn't avocado toast.
That's true. That is true.
I mean, that might be a me thing or an us
But
thing.
you still gave a B plus, which means you still liked it.
What did you give it? You didn't give it anything.
I didn't give a grade yet.
Are you just gonna?
I'm gonna keep the people waiting. No, I'm gonna give it a B plus as well.
Oh, okay.
I really liked my avocado
Yeah.
toast.
No, it was still really
I
good.
really liked
yeah.
the bacon. I think the egg sandwiches looked really good. If
Yeah.
they toasted the bread, I think it might have been even higher.
Toast that bread, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Make
B
sure.
plus for me is the food.
Okay, that's fair. I agree with that. I don't even remember what my scores are though.
So
I
let's
think I
do
gave-
a little review.
Yeah, let's do a review.
Let's do a
Yeah.
little parent-teacher conference where we go over each of these report card grades.
Let her rip.
Okay, so for atmosphere and ambiance, you gave it a D plus. I gave it a C minus. For service, we both gave a C. For food, we both gave a B plus. For coffee, you gave a B. I gave a B plus.
Wait, what did I give for coffee?
B.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think it's also interesting how even though we with this one in particular, we had trouble kind of making sense of what exactly we're grading and how much we're weighing these individual categories, the elements within them. We weren't far off in our grades because
No.
we obviously don't coordinate these grades beforehand, but just talking about them, you kind of get a sense of, again, what is working in general for us is just coming as random customers who had never been there and experiencing it firsthand. So there's something to be said for all of that, I think. But I, like I said earlier, still kind of struggled with what is the culmination of all of this? How does it sort of average out? Because again, if I'm grading it, coming back to that example, as a freshman writing composition paper, it's a much different grade than if I'm grading it as a junior or senior's paper. So am I looking at it as a coffee roaster? Am I looking at it as a takeout coffee place? Because it says coffee roaster, but it is clearly set up as a takeout coffee place that I would have no idea that they were roasting coffee if I didn't look that up beforehand.
That's tricky.
It's very tricky.
I think that I'm going to grade my overall experience today on this day. I don't know if that helps.
I think I'm going to make a controversial move here.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to make a controversial move.
I want to hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I'm going to grade it. So you heard everything I said.
Yes.
It's worth what it's worth. I'm going to grade it based on the coffee.
So are you gonna grade it as a roaster or as a takeout place?
I'm going to grade it based on the coffee I had.
Interesting. This is
Yes.
a twist.
It is a twist.
It's twist ending.
Because
You are subverting expectations.
this is what I do. I'm a writer.
Joe R. Martin.
Joe R. Not Martin. Let me tell you that much. That's for sure. So I'm gonna give them a B because the coffee was above average. I don't know what was going on with everything else. Again, I don't feel comfortable necessarily doing anything different. Maybe I should. Maybe it's worth making a different grade. But you know what? The food was really great. The coffee, the latte was outstanding. Those other elements, I could see somebody going there not really having expectations of a coffee roaster and just getting takeout and saying, oh, that was awesome. I'm totally going to come back to this place. So from my perspective, I don't want people to sort of misinterpret my score. So I feel like if I gave it a C, again, if I was grading it as a roaster, honestly, it's probably just as a roaster. Like, forget everything else. I just go with all my crazy roaster expectations. It's probably like, I don't know, a D, because it doesn't have any of the amenities. It doesn't have any of the things that I want for a coffee roaster. If I'm looking at it as just a takeout coffee shop, it's probably maybe a B plus, A minus. It's fantastic. So I'm going to go B overall. I don't know what else to do other than that, because again, if you want a great latte, I would say that's and a great little snack to take home or walk around or even sit outside of their space. That's the time and place to go to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I am so glad you said that, because if I were grading this as a takeout coffee shop, I would give it an A minus.
Yeah,
If this
I
was,
think that's fair.
if I knew that this was going to be takeout coffee and it was a drive-up place, I would give it an A minus. However, I'm really disappointed that I didn't get to go in, that I didn't get to sit there, that I didn't get to try the beans. So I'm just going to grade the overall experience that I had today with my latte, with my walk around Providence.
Ah, you're counting in the walk.
I'm going to grade my overall experience.
Okay.
And I'm going to give this roaster the benefit of the doubt and think that they are being made a very mindful decision to not open up their roaster yet.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening.
I'm going to give them the benefit of a doubt, and I'm going to give my overall experience today a B+.
Wow.
I might be feeling generous. I don't know, because I love the city and I love the spot that they picked to have their building. I really liked it. My latte was really good. My avocado toast was really good. I feel really good about this place. I would 10 out of 10 recommend that if you're looking for a cup of coffee to drink while you're walking around downtown Providence, that you go here. The location is phenomenal. You're on the College Hill, right by Brown University, right? And you're on the other side of the river. You're right by the river. I think if you're looking to walk around Providence with a cup of coffee, this is where you should go.
Yeah, I think it's important to note, again, it's in this case, I think it's all about expectations. And that's why I think this is the whole point of the podcast. It's worth discussing, okay, if in any given situation you're looking for a specific vibe, there are other roasters in the area where you can go in and sit down and have that full roasting experience.
Yeah, we walked by one, Coffee Connection.
Well, I don't know if they're a roaster, but
they're not a roaster.
They're a coffee
just
bar.
A coffee.
Yeah,
there's a shop.
But there are other coffee roasters where you can certainly do that. So it's really about at that given moment, I think, what you're looking for. And sometimes that's what you rather do that. You rather walk around the city, but at the same time, you could also do that at a coffee roaster. You could choose to walk around
that's true.
in an area. But again, I think for all the reasons we said, it's just, in their estimation, not the time and place for it, I guess. But again, this is a convergence of weighing so many factors. So I'm actually shocked, because you've been I feel like you've been a hard grader lately.
I have been.
So I thought you were going to go C- or something crazy. I thought I was giving the crazy high grade.
No, I really enjoyed my experience here.
Yeah, and I have to say,
even with all of the factors.
Come on, B for bathroom.
There were no bathroom, but I'm still really happy. You still create like a really happy experience without a bathroom. I'm all in with your coffee shop.
I should mention that as well, that a grade of, so anything, as we always say, above C is really good, because C means that you're doing everything that we expect. So if you're doing B, it means you're going above our expectations in essence. And I think, given everything that we've said, these B or B+ grade is outrageous, really.
I'm shocked at how much in my heart I loved this coffee shop, and I would recommend it.
Yeah, it's definitely a really cool spot. I definitely would want to come back when things are a little different, because I feel as if there is I do have that expectation that there's more to experience here than meets the eye, right?
I agree, and I'd love to see when, hopefully when we return to a little bit of normalcy, see them do some pour overs, because I'd love to try these beans.
I was disappointed
in a pure way. Yeah, because I really wanted it.
Did they have another location? They do, right?
I got to double check, because I think they said that this is their second location, but when I looked at the map, I couldn't find the other one.
Yeah, I think the other one, again, it was a little confusing to me. There was maybe it was dine-in and then it wasn't, or it was going back to dine-in. I don't know exactly what the status of each one is, but yeah, 100% worth checking out. Again, I think it comes down to that level of vibe exactly at any given moment that you're looking for. But yeah, I'm glad we went.
Yeah, this also goes to say, I just was looking for their second location, but they're not the highest reviewed coffee shop that we've ever gone to. They have a 4.5, which is good, but we tend to go to places that have 4.7, 4.8, 4.9. This 4.5 was really good to me.
Well, that's actually about a B+, I think. So
it is about a B+.
It's not far off, so.
Yeah, and I'm looking at all their awesome latte specials that are posted on Google, and I'm pretty good with my grade.
Well, we say as well, it ultimately does come down to the product, I think, and that's why I always err on the side of, again, I said from the roasting perspective, it's not a typical roasting experience, but that's fine because the coffee's still great. But you do have to be aware of, I think, those other factors.
All the factors.
Yeah,
absolutely.
shout out to Dave's Coffee. I don't know Dave, but he seems like a really cool dude.
If you're listening to this, Dave, reach out. We'd love to come back and visit.
Well, I don't want him to reach out if he doesn't like the things I said.
I loved it.
I loved it too.
Yeah.
But don't tell him to reach out if he's got bones to pick with us. So far we've had good experiences with people who but you never know. People take things the wrong way, and
that's true.
Or we get something wrong, but it is what it is, as they say.
Yes. If you're in Providence,
and we're recommending
check it out.
Yeah,
if you're in Providence, check it out. If you are looking for somewhere to vacation, check out Providence. This is a great city.
No, it's awful. Yeah. It's a dump. Do not come here. It's just awful.
You sound like the people in Seattle that are like, tell people it sucks here so that people stop moving sucks. Here.
Seattle's one of the worst cities, one of the worst cities in the country.
This is going to be one of those best kept secrets that's going to blow up, and
what other cities do I hate?
Yeah, keep it a best kept secret.
No, stop telling people cities I hate.
Yes.
So anyways, if you like this episode, again, subscribe, follow us wherever you're listening to us. Like I think I mentioned at the beginning, we are on all basically all I need more coffee. We need to go back to Dave's.
We need to go back.
I'm out of words. We're on all podcast platforms pretty much now. And if you really like what we have to say, hit us up on Patreon, patreon.com/agradepodcast. I think there's probably a link in the episode description wherever you're listening to us, and you can leave us a tip. All those tips go into buying more coffee. And again, ultimately trying to promote these places that most of the time we haven't heard of. We're finding out for the first time. So it's really cool to just share our experiences. And again, even people who just fans who listen to the podcast, they say that they will check out these places often. So that's really what it's all about. Get awareness of people who are doing really often cool, delicious stuff, right?
Absolutely. And as always, check out our Instagram. You can check out the blog that we're collaborating with.
Yep.
Let us know what you think. Send us recommendations for places to check out, and we will add it to our running list.
Oh yeah, we have quite the list. It's running pretty long at this point, but yeah. So hopefully you come back next week, because we will have a new episode next Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, stay safe out there. Be well. Drink well. Enjoy your coffee. And hope to see you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.